In this episode, we'll also talk about Swift and Ripple. We've already talked about this because a piece of information from a paper showed that Swift was connected with the Ripple people. There are banks that make up Swift. From what we know, a lot of these Swift network banks are already Ripple partners and can use demand cash. I think that's what's happening. They can only fight this for so long before they have to change. Everything is going to go well right now. We are in the middle of a big bull run in the cryptocurrency market, and prices are about to reach all-time highs. Get ready for the trip that's coming. Ethereum has gone up by 1.06%, or almost 0.5 to $3,312, which is exactly where he wanted it to be. Bitcoin has gone up by $66,000 in the last 24 hours. That's how the dollar is tied. In the past 24 hours, the USD has dropped 67%. It's worth 99 cents right now, with a mean lien of 58 cents on the one and only XRP. All coins are worth $2 XRP on the market right now. $520 billion. As we already said, the markets are in a very dangerous situation right now, and it's possible for them to crash into the low to mid $60,000 range. It was empty. At that point, there was a big hole in the CME. Even though this is the first dump, there is still a cash grab of $60 to $64,000. The problems are still there. In the final, we have one more huge shot. Push down to close those cash gaps before making the next move up. Doesn't have to happen, does it? CM gaps can happen too, just like CME gaps. I think they're full 90% of the time, though. As we saw, it was filled. But before this takes a turn for the worse and supercycle mode starts, which it will soon, we might still drop down one more time for more cash. Or is that the question? Do we fill trillions? Grab the liquid at the bottom or get in place? How can we tell when we've gone above $72,000 to $74,000 without going over that range? If we keep going up, I like to call it $74,000. You have never seen anything like the super cycle that Bitcoin is going through right now. Right now, it's worth between $125,000 and $175,000 and maybe even more. There will likely be a bull run until 2025. I think it's exciting to think that a lot of people will stop using cryptocurrency in 2019 and a lot of people will become rich. Currently looking for something to do. Very interesting times. Soon enough, these good times will be here. When I share what I have, I'm sure many of you are thinking, well, Rip, you'll see a finish date for when I'll be there, but it's probably too late to change what you think it is. I bought everything else in the last week or two, so my XRP and HBAR bag isn't on this list. We got all of these coins at the end of February. That was just a small part of them. I believe there are 15 cryptocurrencies with caps that range from moderately high to very low. This bag is easy to understand. It shows the amount of money I put into each cryptocurrency and the date I bought it. I absolutely believe it will bring me in around, say, 30 seconds after I honestly believe we look great out of 5. As you know, I'm a very conservative person, so our predictions are also very conservative. I do think that many of these will go up much more than 5x. Hey, Brad Gallinghouse, does anyone remember this? It's very classic and comes from Paris. FinTech debate board, and Brad was in charge of this one. Gilbert Gottfried listened to what Brad has to say about Swift's old supercycle, the GPI, is a big step forward. We had a set of rules for how correspondent banking worked for more than 40 years. It was limited in many ways, but it did work. Things are getting better, and I think this is a step in the right way. Moving on, if you could go from, say, a horse and buggy to say, hey, can we make the horse and buggy go faster? Yes, but could we please move on to the last one? Okay, let's begin. GPI, you're right when you're right. Why? Make a wagon and horse. There are a lot of people in Swift, so getting to the Ferrari will go faster. We are not like Amazon vs. Walmart quotes. He asks, so did AOL love that from you, Brad? We've known since Bob Way told us that he remembered that run. Bob Way was one of the first 7 pleas. Bob Way was telling the directors and high-ups of Swift at Ripple what Ripple was doing when he ran into them. How is the issue of moving money across borders being fixed? At their own meeting, after the CBO's meeting, Swift went back to the drawing board and started to come up with new ideas and think about new ways to do their work. This is how GPI came to be. Swift wouldn't have changed if Ripple hadn't agreed to this deal. They were going to keep doing things the same way they have for the past 40 years. Have never gained GPI. Really, you can keep track of money with Swift GPI. Notices that there are no VUBs. More than $10 trillion are at stake when Ripple solves a problem. These banks and other financial institutions use on-demand cash as a digital asset. If they don't want to, these banks don't have to hold on to XRP. Use the tools that the other party has made in the past to avoid risk. To use XRP as the bridge cryptocurrency, all they need to do is join to the network. We are putting this out there along with court records that say selling XRP is how Ripple makes most of its money. I'm interested in possible changes to Ripple vs. Ceci, how will Ripple be able to sell XRP to institutional buyers in the future? That's the only question left in the case. HSBC said that they will be working with Ripple and Matto in 2024 to improve the bank system so that they can use DLT to give out tokens that represent ownership of real gold. Okay, that's it. The only thing left is that, and it will be fixed. It will be interesting to see what HSBC does, especially with tokenizing, which is what we want to do here. Robbie, you need to put this out there. When the project is done, you'll get XRP for keeping our NFTs and helping with other projects. But after I buy you hundreds of these cute little jade pegs, nothing happens. The idea just stops getting better. They're not. You lost all of your valuable XRP. Thera, thanks for your NFT. As we grow and change the project, you'll get a little something back. It works out well for everyone. These are great now. There are new ones now. These are really great. They are from the wild, wild west here. Are able to get them. Swift, you've been waiting for potatoes, and now we have them. It is very important to know how Swift GPI uses HTTPS APIs to connect to Ripple and XRP through partners of Ripple without needing a direct connection between Swift and Ripple. Swift empty types are used to send Swift GPI real-time payment messages to the bank, and the bank sends the same empty types back to Ripplet services. There are messages sent through the setup API bridge, among other things. These things happen on their own. Quicken a Ripple. It's not necessary for and Swift to work together, but it does. People, as I said at the beginning of this movie, Swift is just a message through these other suppliers, your SAPs, your temperatures, or your connections to the earth. There are many banks that work together as a consortium, but many of these banks also work with other service companies to handle their transfers. When Earthport helps move money to places where it can be used, they are taking on all the risks that come with that. Let's say that the banks are getting in touch with them because it has on-demand liquidity. Swift doesn't have to send funds through RippleNet. Between all the different banks, I'm not even sure how a quick relationship with Ripple would work. Now, you need all of the banks to agree for them to send you any kind of message. But if all you need to know is the names of 9 out of 10 banks, I'm sure there are more. And Swift, I'm just giving you an example. In this case, 9 out of 10 banks are used. Does this mean that Swift uses Ripple or XRP? There are only a few banks there, right? What if thousands of businesses around the world used Ripple to get cash whenever they needed it? So could we say that Swift is one of those banks? People, pay attention to what I'm saying now. Swift is just a fancy word for a group of banks. Everyone will use DT technology and the internet, and no one will know that they are doing so. How great technology is when people use it, even when they don't know they're using it, is shown by liquidity. This is a great thought.